सुखं संशयात्मनः.
But ignorant and faithless person who doubt the revealed spiritual do not attain God consciousness. They fall down for the doubting soul. There is happiness neither in this world nor in the next.
Yeah. The ignorant and faithless people, persons who doubt the revealed scriptures, they do not attain God consciousness. So that means without faith, there is no progress. Not just in spiritual life, but also in material life. Isn't it? We all have faith. If I come to US, job mil jayega. Correct? No, somehow or other. Some people were coming now, and we told them, the job market is down, don't come. But they thought probably they're an exception. They anyway came. Isn't it? People are ready to fight. People are ready to occupy one post. They're competing for one senior post, one CEO post, and they have faith. Somehow or the other, it will work. If it did not work for everyone, for me it will work. So in material life also, without faith you cannot function. Even to keep one step ahead, we have an inherent faith that the earth, the land on which I'm going to put my foot, is not going to go down. There's some amount of faith. Therefore, you walk. There's some amount of faith that when I'm going to the temple today, I won't meet with an accident, and therefore I'm coolly traveling. Isn't it? There's some faith. If I fly back to India, the flight won't crash. It's faith, isn't it? Is there any guarantee that flight won't crash? There's some things. Okay, the pilot is an expert. These airlines, this particular airlines, they have never crashed before. Some things are there, but you can never say 100% that it will not crash. But we anyway go on. So call out to all the scientists. How do you explain this? You cannot. People cannot even talk about scientific formulae without having some assumptions, isn't it? Even to theorize something, to bring out any research, there are always some preset assumptions made upon which research is taken place. Now, the scientists to explain the cause of the universe, they came up with a Big Bang theory. Now, there was so many assumptions made in Big Bang theory. Finally, they said, now the what is the Big Bang theory? There was a point concentration of extreme power, which is mathematically uncalculable, physically undescribable, scientifically unverifiable. And they say there were certain atmospheric conditions which you can never know what were they. And finally, there was an explosion and came out the harmonious universe. And people are doing PhD, isn't it? So this requires faith. So even in the scientific world, there is faith. Our in ISKCON we have someone called as a spiritual scientist. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So he says faith is the reason for reason. That means even if someone says, okay, I'm a very reasonable person, I'm using my logic. So that is also faith. I have faith that logic will work, isn't it? So everything, the underlying principle for us to function in this world is faith or Shraddha. So why not in spiritual life? So Krishna says those people who fail to invest faith in the scriptures, they have no progress in spiritual life. It is not possible. They fall down from spiritual life, from spiritual consciousness. For doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. For doubting soul. Yoga sanyasta karmanam ज्ञान संचिन्न संशयम आत्मवंतम न कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनंजय. Yes.
One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his action,
and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches.
Yeah. For a person who has established his faith in Krishna, for such a person, he is situated on a transcendental platform. And the last verse of the fourth chapter, this one. Tasman ajnana sambhutam hitstam jnanasinatmanaha chitmainam samshayam yogam atishtottishta bharata. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance. So, why do doubts come? Out of ignorance. Yeah, that is called ignorance. So, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. So, therefore, more we keep hearing about spiritual knowledge, more the doubts get cleared away. If we take a break, we don't hear. We take, say, we have classes. So we take a break. 1 week we don't come. Second week we don't come. Third week we don't come. And fourth week we come. Then what happens? Doubts come in the heart because we haven't heard much. Hmm. We haven't heard much Krishna, but throughout the week we are hearing a lot of Maya, isn't it? We might give 1 hour to Krishna, but remaining 167 hours, Maya. Hmm. We keep hearing to the mind. We keep hearing to the advertisements. We keep hearing to so many peers in our school, colleges, or in our offices. So, therefore, what kind of knowledge you develop, you either propagate ignorance or enlightenment. Hmm. Okay. So, now we will discuss about. See, thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the fourth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of transcendental knowledge. Finally, I think we took 5 6 months. Yeah. Anyway, so here Krishna is explaining that faith is the lifeline of a devotee. Hmm. Now, this faith, when we talk about faith, it's not just blind faith. There are two kinds of faith. First category is Laukika Shraddha. Laukika Shraddha means everyone goes to temple, I'll also go to temple. Everyone studies the Gita, I will also study the Gita. People are bowing down, I'll also bow down. This is called as Laukika Shraddha. It's called because everyone around is doing it, therefore I will also follow. What is the problem with this kind of Shraddha? Can you please loud? Yes, if that means our Shraddha is a factor of what others believe, is not a state of heart. So the first kind of Shraddha, Laukika Shraddha, is a very weak Shraddha. It's a very shaky platform. And the second type of Shraddha is called as Shastriya Shraddha. Shastriya Shraddha means the faith that is that has come up in the heart based on Shastras, through the Shastric study. When we study the scriptures deep enough, we get something called as realization, conviction. Conviction is not theoretical knowledge. So if one can study the scriptures, but when one applies, one actually gets something called as realization. That time when someone says you're not this body or spirit soul, you can connect with it. Hmm. So the progress of a devotee from a neophyte to a pure devotee, what is that progress? Is the how much he is increasing in his faith. It's all a factor of faith. If anyone wants to know, am I advanced devotee or am I not so advanced? It depends on how much faith do I have. It's not how good kirtans I can sing, is not what kind of lectures I speak, is not how much I jump up in the dancing kirtan, how much I showcase others that I'm a pure devotee. Is within one's own heart that if I how much faith do I have in Krishna? If Krishna takes away everything, I will still have faith in Krishna. This is real faith. So Chaitanya Chaitamrit explains what is that Shraddha. Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kahe Sudrida Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. That means Shraddha Shabde, the word Shraddha means Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kahe Sudrida Nishchay. He is completely convinced that Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. That means just by doing Krishna Bhakti, everything else is taken care. All I have to do in my life is to please Krishna. Everything else will be taken care. How many of you have that faith? Do you know what I asked? I will tell honestly, I don't have that faith. No, I didn't ask trying to get. Isn't it? So, huh? Still trying. Let me, questions at the end. Questions at the end. Huh? So, I'll repeat what's the meaning of Shraddha. Shraddha means just by doing Krishna Bhakti, everything else is taken care. That means I don't have to worry about taking care of anyone. I don't have to worry about earning money. I don't have to worry about my house bills, my electricity bills. I don't have to worry about livelihood. I don't have to worry about education. Just Krishna Bhakti. Everything else is taken care. Now, how many of you are on this platform or you have this much faith? Can you raise your hand? No, I just answer this question. If you, see, I mean, be humble to say no. Isn't it? We don't have. We don't have. When we understand we don't have, we can work towards it. If we think we already have, then you should be sitting here. Isn't it? So naturally, we don't have. He's convinced. We don't have this much faith. Sometimes we may put up Instagram post, I really love Krishna and Krishna is doing wonders in my life. This is called a sentimental faith. It's all Laukik Shraddha, not Shastriya Shraddha. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Shastriya Shraddha means by the study of scriptures. So therefore, we want to cultivate this something called as Shraddha, faith in Krishna. That Krishna will take care. It's okay. And I'll give you one striking contrast. True story. Hundreds of years ago, there was a person and he was just newly married, and of course, he just had a child. But when the mother was giving the child, giving birth to the child, she passed away. And actually, he had in his mind an idea of taking sannyas. So he was confused what to do. See, this is true story. I'm not deriving conclusion or anything from this. He was confused. Now he has a baby in his hand and he has to go and take sannyas. He was praying to Krishna deeply within his heart. What should I do? And immediately he saw a wonderful scene. This was in India. So, in India, you have chipkali, lizard on the wall. He saw that a lizard, a baby lizard, newly born baby lizard was on the wall. The mother lizard gave birth to the baby lizard, and the baby lizard immediately stuck out its tongue and ate the fly. Then an idea clicked in an understanding, realization clicked in his mind. What was the realization? He understood that Krishna has provided for everyone. The baby lizard didn't send the mother lizard did not send the baby lizard to the school to learn how to catch the prey, isn't it? Naturally, the intelligence was given by Krishna for the baby lizard to catch its own food. Then he understood, I am not the one controlling things. Krishna is there. So then he anyway took sannyas. And he is a famous commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam and various scriptures, and his name is Sridhar Swami. Sri Prabhupada quotes Sridhar Swami many places in his purports. See? And that child, he also went on to become a great devotee of the Lord. Because Krishna takes care. Hmm. So across Mahabharat, across Ramayana, across Srimad Bhagavatam and various Vedic scriptures, you will find one thing. Whenever devotee and Krishna are talked about, it's always, and the scriptures always highlight the faith of the devotee in Krishna, isn't it? Like Gajendra, we discussed the other day. When Gajendra was fighting with the crocodile for thousand celestial years, and crocodile was growing stronger because he's a animal of the water, whereas the elephant is the animal of the land. He was getting weaker, so he didn't know what to do. All the family relatives, girlfriends, everyone went away. His only hope was someone else, Krishna, yeah, Vishnu. So he picked up the lotus flower and he called out to Narayana. And he had so much faith that Narayana will come and accept this lotus flower. And then, of course, Lord Vishnu came on Garuda and killed the crocodile for him. Similarly, Draupadi, the Draupadi Vastraharan, when she was being disrobed in the assembly of generals, that time Draupadi tried first to her husband, appeal to her husband, please protect my honor. They just looked down. Then she went to all the seniors of the Kauravas, first to Dhritarashtra, then to Bhishma, then Dronacharya, and all the different Kaurava brothers. No one could do anything. And finally, Dushasana was pulling the sari, trying to disrobe her. And Dushasana is a powerful warrior. So in front of Dushasana, she was weak. And she was trying to hold on to her own sari, but she could not do much. That is the time she immediately raised the hand and said, Hey Dwarkavasi, Hey Gopijana Vallabha. And like that, she called out Krishna's names. That is the time Krishna immediately gave out sari after sari. Now, if she didn't have faith, you think she can raise the hand like that? She might hold and say, Hey Dwarkavasi. Isn't it? Hey Gopijana Vallabha. But she was able to raise the hand, leave. That is called as leaving it to Krishna. So, in this world, it's very difficult for us to do our best and leave the rest to Krishna. It's not easy. Though we may say, yeah, I do it daily. We might say that, but it's not very easy. It required something called as faith. And anyone says, I have faith, don't worry, Krishna will test you. No one takes by face value. It's a test that shows the amount of faith. Hare Krishna. Then there was another example from history. There was a small boy. His name is Raghunandan Thakur. Raghunandan Thakur, he was a simple small boy, and his parents were great devotees of the Supreme Lord. And daily his father would do offering of whatever bhoga to Laddu Gopal. So this Raghunandan Thakur, one day his father became busy and he had to go somewhere. So the mother said, "Tiki, you offer today," because father was not at home. So what did Raghunandan Thakur do? He had to offer laddu or something in the afternoon. He took this big laddu and he put it on the plate and kept it in front of Laddu Gopal. So, and he said, "Umko kuch mantra," and he doesn't know any mantra. So he said, "My dear Krishna, please eat." And the father had said, Krishna eats through his eyes. By seeing, he has already eaten. Don't expect that he'll come and eat. But he didn't understand. He said, "My dear Krishna, please eat." And then he saw nothing happen. And he's just standing there. And he said, "My dear Krishna, please eat." Then again nothing happened. Then he said, "My dear Krishna, why don't you come and eat?" Then he immediately started crying. So then that, because he was the simplicity of the heart, immediately called for the Lord. The Lord immediately appeared and he said, "Beta, don't cry." And he ate. And Krishna ate the whole thing and went away. And then he came out of the offering room and mother said, "Okay, now distribute it in the prasadam, lunch for your father." He said, "But Krishna ate." Mother said, "No, don't joke around. We know Krishna eats through his eyes. So, please just give it to your father." But the Raghunath Thakur said, "Krishna already ate it. I don't know where it is. He had it, the whole thing." And then mother got upset. She told the father, "See what your beta is doing. I think he's going inside offering room and he's eating the laddu and saying Krishna ate." So then father also got a doubt. So next day they let it go, and next day same thing happened. Mother gave Raghunath Thakur to offer, and the father was outside, and he offered, and he was crying because Krishna was not coming. So he was saying, "My dear Lord, please eat." And the force of his love for the Supreme Lord to appear and eat the whole thing. And again, the mother thought the boy is eating it. So again, the mother became upset, and the father got confused. What is happening? So one day, what did the father do? He thought of staying back, and he told the mother, "Let Raghunandan Thakur offer, and I will see what is happening." And he was just behind the curtains, and that's when Raghunandan Thakur again went with a plate of boga and put it in front of the Lord. And he said, "My dear Lord, please eat." And again, repeated, "My dear Lord, why don't you eat?" And he started crying. So Krishna came and he started eating. That is the time when Raghunan Thakur, his father, he got up from behind and he was shocked to see Krishna, but Krishna immediately disappeared from there. And they say that laddu which was half eaten, it is still there in Mayapur somewhere around. Isn't it? Mayapur is there. That laddu which was eaten because just matter of 100 years, 300 years, 400 years ago, they still kept that and they preserved it. Yeah, what Krishna ate, and because Raghunath Thakur's father got up and came in front, so that time Krishna disappeared. So it was only half eaten laddu, and that's what they say. I don't know, but why not put faith, isn't it? So you see, the Supreme Lord, if someone has faith, one can even see Krishna face to face. The problem is we don't have faith, and Krishna is saying, for a person who has no faith, for him to make progress in spiritual life is very difficult. Now you see the example of Jatayu in Ramayana. Now Jatayu saw that Ravana, the lusty rogue, he was catching the hand of Sita and going away. Now, if I was in position of Jatayu, I would have informed it. I know that Ravana is much more stronger than me, so I wouldn't have challenged him. So what I would have done, I would have just kept. I would have informed Lord Ram that Ravana is the one who stole Sita. But Jatayu was not like that. He understood. He saw Ravana kidnapping Sita, but he could not bear it. He could not tolerate it. And just as the story goes, Jatayu attacked Ravana, and there was a great battle that was ensued. And Jatayu, with his claws, he killed the mules of Pushpak Vimana. And then he broke the armor, the chest armor of Ravana. And then Ravana understood this fellow is old, but he's still strong, very courageous. So he took out his sword and cut off the wing of Jatayu. That's when Jatayu fell from such a great height and he was on the verge of death. So, of course, now later on what happens. Ram sees Jatayu, and later on when Jatayu dies, Ram does Antim Samskar to Jatayu and sends him back home, back to Godhead, back to spiritual world. So now, if we are in position of Jatayu, how can we actually fight against someone who's stronger? We would have never done that, isn't it? But Jatayu had full faith that if I am engaged in the service of Ram, then Ram will take care. Hmm? And that's what Krishna is telling Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. What does that mean? That means Krishna is telling Arjuna, give up all other dharma or any dharma which comes in between you and me. Dharma is good to be followed. But if it is an obstacle in our Krishna path to Krishna, then one should give that up for love of Krishna. Does that make sense? So Krishna is saying, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Then Arjuna, if you do this, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami masacha. Don't worry, I will protect you from all sinful reactions, and you don't have to fear at all. You have to fear for nothing. But for that, you have to be ready to give up everything for me. So you see that faith plays a great role in the path of spirituality. Definitely, to encourage our faith, we do have scientific research, study done on Hare Krishna mantra, effects on of chanting Hare Krishna on the mind. All these things we have. But at the end of the day, if we do not have faith, despite all the evidence, whatever is done, there's no question of progress. If we have to progress in this world, we have to put faith somewhere. Then why not on Krishna? Isn't it? So, therefore, that faith is usually challenged by doubts. And what gives rise to doubts? Called as ignorance, avidya. So sometimes you see that when we don't practice our spiritual life properly, say we say you chant Hare Krishna, your heart will be purified. Okay, sounds very nice. So you chant Hare Krishna, but heart is not getting purified. So then your faith increases or reduces? Reduces. Because something was promised and promise wasn't kept. Come to association of devotees, everyone is a pure devotee here. you know. Yeah, but then you see devotees don't behave like pure devotees sometimes. Then that also becomes problematic, isn't it? So usually, what creates doubt is not the promise given in the scriptures; it is our improper practice of spiritual aspects. Sometimes when we chant, we are not chanting properly. We are chanting while talking with others. We're chanting while watching TV, chanting while driving, isn't it? Chanting while attending kirtan. The different kinds of chanting, and this kind of, because our side the endeavor is not proper, it's so disturbing. The this thing, it's too loud. You can't do anything. It's senior. Yeah. So when we ourselves don't practice properly, then how can we expect result? And therefore, the one of the main causes of doubts on the path of spirituality is improper practice. Many people say, yeah, just Krishna protects. You don't have to wear tilak. You know, you don't have to wear dhoti kurta. You don't have to. I mean, the Shastra say it. We don't. We are not just following someone's words. We are following words of God. Shastra. Shastra means the word of God. Why it is said? Why do something? Why are some things mentioned in the Shastra? Because, for example, when they talk about wearing tilak, wearing dhoti kurta, it is because externals also impact the internal, isn't it? Now, if I'm wearing, leather jacket and what do you say, the torn jeans, like beggars wear, knee it is torn, here it is torn, it's all ripped, isn't it? When you wear like that, can you feel like a devotee? It's very difficult to feel like a devotee because externally you're like a materialist. It's very difficult, isn't it? But when you wear simple clothes, you will feel simple inside. So similarly, when we wear tilak, immediately you understand, oh, I'm supposed to act like a devotee of Krishna. That's what this tilak means. So therefore, spiritual path, if we want to develop faith, we have to practice the components of spirituality properly. It's our own fault if we don't practice the components properly and blame it on the path of bhakti. And therefore, Krishna says in the previous one, see, sorry, the previous one. See, Agnyascha Shraddhadanascha Samshayatma Vinashyati Nayam Lokos Tinaparo Na Sukham Samshayatmanaha. These people who doubt, who have a doubt in the path of spirituality, they cannot make progress. And here three kinds of people are mentioned. One is Agnya, other one is Ashraddhana and Samshayatma. So their definition for each one of them. Yeah. Agnya, the first one means the ignorant, is foolish like the animals with no knowledge and no faith. He neither has knowledge nor any faith. He is Agnya. And second one is Ashraddhana, means one who doesn't have faith. He is called as the faithless. He has knowledge of the Shastra, but having seen the mutual disagreements of proponents of various theories, he has no trust in any of them. So, first one, Agnya, has no knowledge, no faith, and Ashradhana, he has knowledge but no faith. And the third one is Samshayatma. Samshayatma, the doubter. He has knowledge, he has both knowledge and faith, but is doubtful whether the process will be effective for him. He understands, yeah, chanting works. I've seen the glories of chanting in Shastra also, but I'm not sure if I am chanting can help me. He is called as Samshayatma, a doubting soul. For these people, they cannot understand transcendental knowledge because they do not have faith. So the three kinds of faithless people. No knowledge, no faith. Knowledge but no faith. And knowledge and faith is there, but is not sure that it will work for me. Like Prabhupada said, he was asked in Australia, how long will it take for me to perfect my life and go back to Godhead? Prabhupada said, one life. And then he said, 1 minute. I think the question was, how much time does it take to surrender to Krishna? Is it surrender to Krishna? And Prabhupada said, first one life. And sometime he said, no, 1 minute. It just takes 1 minute to surrender. Then we think, yeah, really, 1 minute. In one life, we can question, really, can I go back home back to God at this life? Yeah, that means we don't have faith. We don't have faith either in the process or in the words of the devotees, isn't it? Or in the way we practice the process. So, therefore, to make progress in spiritual life, what we have to give focus to is how much faith am I cultivating? And the Bhagavatam explains there are three kinds of people based on faith, three categories. First, the basic level, the neophyte devotee is called as Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta Adhikari means one who doesn't have so much faith. A Kanishta Adhikari, he has some faith. Okay, Krishna exists, devotees are good people, but he has if someone challenges him, who said chanting Hare Krishna will works, does anything, he gets bewildered. He also starts doubting chanting Hare Krishna. So he is Kanishta Adhikari. And Madhyam Adhikari is the next one, the higher amount of faith. Madhyam Adhikari, his faith is fixed, but his scriptural knowledge is not the best. That means he has scriptural knowledge, but someone might defeat him in scriptures. But his faith will not go down, but at the same time, he cannot defeat others. That is second time, Madhyama. And the highest is the Uttam Adhikari. No one can defeat the Uttam Adhikari. He has complete, strong faith in Krishna. So, therefore, if we want to develop this faith, we have to do two things. That is, first of all, we have to practice properly. We have to practice properly so that we can develop faith. And second is, we have to find out what are the things which give me doubts. So for senior students, we do this session called as faith and doubt. There's some things, some people have faith and doubt with respect to ISKCON. We also discuss faith and doubt with respect to Prabhupada. Why did Prabhupada make certain statements? For example, the moon landing. So there are so many things. Everything gives faith or gives doubt. So we have to see what gives me faith and encourage it, and then we have to see what gives me doubt and curb it. Because without faith, without full-fledged faith, even if you're chanting Hare Krishna, have you seen people chanting Hare Krishna but they are all over the place? Like they are putting their hand in the bead bag, but they're talking to 100 devotees, isn't it? They're going everywhere, Sunday feast, talking to everyone. One round they complete somehow. Why? Because there's no faith that this is work. But have you seen people who chant with faith in the holy name? They will sit in one place and chant their rounds because they have full faith that this will work. So now a person who doesn't have faith, he's roaming around and chanting. Will it give him faith? No, it will slash down his faith even more. Then he'll complain, I've been chanting for 10 years like this, but no change in my heart. Isn't it? Because practice is not strong. There's no substance in his practice. So our scriptural study needs substance. Our practice of chanting and other process needs substance, and we also need to associate with those people who have faith. So if spiritual path is all about faith, how do we grow this faith? How do we grow this shraddha? First is we have to practice purity. We have to become attracted to purity, leading pure lifestyle. Krishna says in I think 728 Gita, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandvan moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrataha. Bhajante mam dridhavrataha. Krishna is saying, my dear Arjuna, who can practice bhakti with great determination? Okay, how many of you want to practice bhakti with great determination? Yeah? Some of you don't want, no problem. So Krishna says, who can practice? Yesham to antagatam papam. Those people who have almost got rid of the sinful reactions. And they are increasing their purity, punya karma. For such a people, for such a person, they rise above duality, they rise above illusion. And because they can see Krishna clearly in their lives, how Krishna is acting in my life, the disaster can come in their life, but they will not be shaken up. Their 16 rounds will not be shaken up. And they'll be thinking, why just 16? Why only 16? Why not 16,000 rounds? Because they're practicing with faith. Mm. So we have to be attracted to purity. That's number one, how to increase faith. And second, how to increase faith is association of those people who have faith. Like some people have great faith in Harinam. You associate with him, you serve such a person, you also develop faith in the holy name in the process. Some people have faith that prasadam, you just give prasadam, it will transform lives. We may think, ठीक है prasadam है, but it's just food. So associate with those people who have faith in prasadam. We also get faith in prasadam. Like Raghunath Das Goswami, he would eat. He was performing such austerities in Puri, Jagannath Puri. He felt to eat nice is also sense gratification. So finally, what was he doing? He was staying outside, just in the periphery of the Jagannath temple, and over there, what was given in Anand Bazar, the Mahaprasad of Jagannath, that the leftovers would be given to the cows, especially those which are even almost rotten. They would be given to the cows, and there would be some amount of Mahaprasad which even the cows would reject. That's what he would take, wash it, and eat. And he had so much faith in Mahaprasadam, even though he ate such prasadam, nothing happened to his health. If we take such prasadam, probably we'll get sick because we don't have faith as Mahaprasad. And nor can we imitate him. Nor can we artificially say, no, no, I have full faith, and you eat, you'll get affected. If you have full faith, then nothing will happen. Like once upon a time, there was a mother-in-law, and her daughter-in-law, or mother and daughter-in-law. They attended talk, pravachan. So to attend this pravachan in the daytime, they had to cross a river. But when they had to cross the river was shallow, so they could easily cross it and go for the lecture. Now they heard the lecture. In the lecture, the speaker made one beautiful point. He said, "Anand se bolo Hari Hari, Hari koribe bhavapari." He said, that means with great joy chant Hari Hari. Then that Hari will help you cross the ocean of material existence. This is what he said. He said, any difficulty you are in, Anand se bolo Hari Hari, Hari korebe bhavapari. So it was a big, very nice class. And after Pravachan, they were returning in the evening. But there were some rains that had happened, and the river increased, swelled up. So now it was deep. So now they didn't know what to do. So the daughter-in-law, she was young, but she heard the lecture with great faith and attention. And now she said, you know, it's just the river has swelled up. That's not a problem. Anand se bolo Hari Hari, Hari korebe bhavapari. So she was just chanting Hari Hari and crossed the river. And then she looked back. Mother-in-law is still on the other side. And then she said, Mother-in-law, come on, you also can do it. Then mother-in-law, she was little not so faithful. So as she started crossing, she started to drown, and then she didn't know what to do, and she started screaming to this daughter-in-law. And daughter-in-law said, "Why are you screaming? Just chant Hari Hari. Didn't you hear the lecture properly?" She said, "How dare you instruct me?" Saying that, she died. So you see, those with faith, they can cross this ocean of material existence. Mm. But people who say Hari Hari Karibe Bhav Pari, really, can Krishna really do it? So for them, they have to undergo the actual material circumstance. So Raghunath Das Goswami, even though he ate Mahaprasad which was rotten and left out even by the cows, he didn't get affected because the amount of faith. So therefore, Krishna says that in the fourth chapter, Krishna has explained about jnana, transcendental knowledge. And who is this? About whom is this transcendental knowledge? This transcendental knowledge is about Krishna, and therefore it's transcendental. Is that understandable? Therefore, it's transcendental, the spiritual knowledge. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, I have told you about the transcendental knowledge, about akarma, about getting out of this material world, going to spiritual world. But you cannot practice any of this knowledge if you do not have faith. So any practice done without faith has minimal consequence or minimal result. So even while chanting, how should we chant? With great faith. And chanting with great faith, practicing any spiritual practice with great faith means one does it respectfully, one does it attentively. No one can casually do something with faith. It won't be possible. Mm. So this is a measure of our growth in Krishna consciousness. How much faith am I developing? So we have, if we can dig deep, find out what are the doubts, and slash them. Krishna says in the last verse that jnana, um, jnana sinatma, what does it say? The weapon of knowledge. Using the weapon of knowledge, slash the doubt and get up and fight Arjuna, like it says. So there are two things. You have heard of blind faith. What does blind faith mean? Yeah. When other people are doing, you're doing. Laukika. Laukika. But what is blind faith? Hmm? You don't question. You just put faith. That's blind faith. There's no reasoning, isn't it? Okay, what is reasonable faith? Question when you question. Okay, I can question. Is it doesn't mean this is reasonable faith? There's a reason behind why you have faith. Hmm? So reasonable faith is more substantial than blind faith. If we just go on blind faith, like of course, why did British enter India and rip India of its culture? Because by then the scientific reasoning behind why we are doing certain practices was lost. Traditions were lost. So because of which, when the British said, "Oh, your Vedas talk about the earth," they say the earth is flat. So how primitive are the Vedas? You should get into our education system. That's when everyone said yes, sir, and we all are going to their education system. Why? Because they told the Indians, they misinterpreted the Vedas through their poor Sanskrit knowledge, and Indians didn't know anything, that British with their poor Sanskrit could misinterpret the Vedas and convince to Indians that Vedas are useless, isn't it? Why? Because the scientific basis of the Shastras was lost. So what were they going on? Why were they still practicing religion then? That was called as blind faith. So in blind faith, if someone with reason can convince you, you should not chant. If you only have blind faith, you will not chant. Yeah. So therefore, we have to see how to make my faith reasonable, and it's not very difficult. How many of you heard of the story Brahmana and the cobbler? You heard of the Brahmana cobbler story? Okay, anyone? You saw it. Yeah, drama was there. Yes, correct. So you see, once Narada Muni was passing by, and then he met a cobbler. Cobbler, seeing great Narada Muni, immediately fell at his feet and he said, "My dear sage, it's a great honor that you have come to my village." So then Narada Muni said, "Don't worry, please get up And cobbler said, please, is there anything I can do for you? Narad Muni said, no, there's nothing I can do for me. And he said, where are you going? And Narad Muni said, I'm going to meet the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha. And cobbler was amazed. I met Sakshat Narad Muni, the OG Narad Muni. And then he said, my dear Narad Muni, can you ask one question to the Supreme Lord from my side? He said, okay, tell me. He said, can you ask him, after how many lives will I go back to him? I really want to serve him. But I know I'm so sinful that I will not go back to him soon. So please, can you ask and let me know? And Narad Muni said, sure, I will ask and get back to you. Then, as he was proceeding ahead, he met another person who was a great Brahmana, a great reciter of the Vedas, and a great Pandit. At least that's what he thought of himself. So then he saw Narad Muni and he offered obeisances. And he said, my dear Narad Muni, it's a great astonishment, great surprise to see you here. He said, yes, I was on my way to meet the Supreme Lord. And that time he said, oh, you're meeting Supreme Lord? So can you please ask on my behalf to the Supreme Lord that how soon in this life will I go back to him? Narada Muni said, yeah, sure, I'll find out and I will get back to you. And he left. So as he approached Vaikuntha, he met the Supreme Lord, offered obeisances, glorified the Supreme Lord, and told the Supreme Lord that he met two people. One and both of them had a similar question. They wanted to know how much time was remaining before they came back to Vaikuntha to serve you eternally here. And the Supreme Lord laughed and he said, yes, Narada Muni, I know everything. And he said, that cobbler whom you met, who was considering himself very sinful, but he was so humble, he is going to come back to me this very life at the time of his death. And Narada Muni was, of course, was so happy looking at the mercy of Vishnu. And then he said, but Narada Muni said, but what about the great Brahmana who is super learned and great Pandit, daily reciting your mantras and Shastra and everything? He said, oh, that Brahmana, I'm not sure if he'll come back to me this life. He'll still take many hundreds and thousands of lives. Narada Muni asked, I mean, why? Why so much time? He said, you will understand everything in due course of time. And Narada Muni asked, how? He said, when you go and meet them, they will ask you, what did you see the Lord doing in Vaikuntha? And that time you should tell them, the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha was passing an elephant to the eye of a needle. What was Lord Vishnu doing? Passing an elephant to the eye of the needle. And Narad Muni said, my dear Lord, your ways are very mysterious. And he left the place. And then when he came back to this world, he met the Brahmana first. Came same route back. First we met the Brahmana. And they offered obeisance to one another. And Narada Muni said, I met the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord said, in how much time you can go back to Godhead? And Brahmana was carrying his suitcase and about to go. Thought this life only. And then Narada Muni said, no, wait a bit. The Supreme Lord said, you'll still take hundreds and thousands more lives to go back to him. Immediately, the Brahmana cracked up laughing and he said, I know you never went to the Supreme Lord. And Narada Muni said, why do you say like that? He said, if you really went, can you please tell me what was the Lord doing in Vaikuntha? What did Narada Muni say? Passing the elephant through the eye of a needle. And he started laughing even more. Brahmana understood. Brahmana felt the Narad Muni has never gone. And he went away from the place. And Narad Muni was astonished. The Brahmana acting like this. No faith. And then he came to Cobbler. And he told Cobbler, my dear Cobbler, I met the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord said, you will be coming back to him this very life. With great jubilation and tears in his eyes, the Cobbler fell at the feet of Narad Muni. And he embraced the feet of Narad Muni and he was crying in great joy. And he said, thank you for this great news. I don't deserve this. But still, the Supreme Lord is so merciful. But can you also tell me, when you met the Supreme Lord, what was he doing? What Leela was he doing? And what did Narad Muni say? Yes. Narad Muni said, the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha was passing the elephant to the eye of a needle. And what do you think the reaction of the cobbler was? Yes, he said, such a wonderful pastime. I had never heard this one before. Passing the elephant to eye of a needle. Narmani got confused. He asked, do you really believe this? That the Lord was passing elephant to eye of a needle? Cobbler said, yes, why not? Because look at the seed, he picked up a seed. If Supreme Lord can put the entire tree in the seed, why can't he put the entire elephant through the eye of a needle? Isn't it? If you take any seed and put it in, plant it, water it, a tree will come out. That means that a tree is designed and programmed into a seed. Similarly, if he can do that, what is stopping the Supreme Lord from passing elephant through the eye of a needle? And now Nardmuni understood. Cobbler had reasonable faith, and Brahmana seemingly had faith, but actually had no faith. Isn't it? So it's faith that makes all the difference. So therefore, the blind faith. Sometimes we have blind faith in religion, and people say, you know, why can you explain all the things that you do? Can you show me God and can you show me this? Then I will believe. So just as blind faith is wrong, we agree it's wrong. We need to have reasonable faith. Cobbler had reasonable faith. Similarly, just as blind faith is wrong, even blind doubting is wrong, isn't it? So that means if someone has blind faith, he can we can ask, if someone has doubt, we can give him answers. But then if he is still doubting, despite the answers given, that means this is blind doubting. There's no reason for his doubt. Answers are there, logic is there, reasoning is there. Then why not put faith? Isn't it? Does that make sense? So therefore, in the final section of the fourth chapter, Krishna is explaining about the importance of faith to understand spiritual knowledge. And when we hear this knowledge and apply in our lives properly, that time we can get more faith. When we practice properly, it gives you faith. It gives you something called as realization in the heart when you practice properly. Mm. And doing Krishna Seva, very important. When we do Krishna Seva service, like we distribute books, we serve in the temple, we wash the pots, we clean. So this Krishna Seva also purifies the heart, and that also gives Shraddha. So what are some things that can help us grow Shraddha? Sorry? Yes, following practice, not daily, but substantially, properly, not a half-hearted thing. Okay, then sorry, sadhu sangha, especially associating with advanced devotees, and then books is Krishna Seva. What else? Prasad. Okay, prasad. ठीक है. Prasad. I gave example of prasad. Chanting is doing the practice properly. There's one more. Hmm? Cultivate reasonable faith. Okay. Purity. Yes. We have to tend towards purity. More we purify the heart, more we lead a pure lifestyle, more we can understand all pure. Yeah. More on purity. Purity means purity of mind, purity of speech, purity of our senses. That means senses should not be engaged in anything impure, and the mind should be thinking of pure thoughts. That means Krishna, and speech should also be Krishnized. So therefore, in 17th chapter, Krishna talks about austerity of body, that is senses, austerity of speech, how to speak, how not to speak, and austerity of the mind. Hmm? Okay. So
Hare
any
Krishna Prabhu.
yes.
Prabhuji. Yeah, I have this doubt. The association with devotees and how to identify what kind of devotees we can attach. I mean, we can associate. Like because so many people come to the temple and
Hmm.
everybody speaks about God and whatever knowledge they have, and people blindly trust them also because they are coming to the temple or doing
Okay.
sarva
I
seva
will
or
I will tell you a true story.
covering.
Okay, I will tell you a true story. I was
Yeah.
teaching one boy our Bhagavad Gita used to attend sessions, and suddenly he stopped coming, and I asked him why. And this, what is his background was? He had gone to Himalayas and he was a yogi for some time. But then he came to New York. He started business. Many things had happened in his life. So when I asked him, why did you suddenly stop coming? He said, I came to your Sunday feast. Then I spoke to the people in the Prasadam hall during Prasadam. He spoke to different people about. So he was just basically conversing with them, and he said, when I spoke to all of them, I felt that they were all neophytes. So he might say like that they are all neophytes, but basically what had happened, he felt that people are not, they have not dived deep enough into spirituality when he was speaking with people in the Prasadam hall. This is what he felt because he had a yogi background and different paths background. Finally, he had come to ISKCON, but he felt here they are not discussing Krishna enough. Happens. I didn't. I don't think he was lying. Hmm? So because sometimes Prasadam hall people are just. Uh, I don't blame them, but it did affect him.
I have my personal experience also, Prabhu.
Okay, you're on loudspeaker though.
Yeah, no problem, Prabhu, no problem.
Okay.
People have to know because if no, they can't trust all the people in Prasadam Hall. I have that experience that I have to associate only the advanced devotees like who are wearing the saffron
No,
and
advanced devotees. Advanced devotees can also be the grahasthas. It can be anyone.
yeah, yeah. So the thing is, I saw very recently one article saying that who can give you the proper advice. There are four things that a person should not do. Only those persons can give right advice. That
Yeah,
is, one is propensity to cheat. They should not have that.
correct.
Control of senses.
Hmm.
So we cannot find those kind of things in the normal devotees, right?
Correct.
Those who are coming newly to it.
Yeah.
Because I mean this is a simple way I find it because they are wearing saffron clothes. Okay, they are in that service at least that is the simple way I can identify that they don't have
Hmm.
those core qualities.
Well, someone can cheat in saffron dress also. Sorry to shock you, but it happens.
Yeah, they can keep Prabhu. At least there is like that is dependent on Krishna. That is again on faith of Krishna.
Yeah. So what we there are different other tangible characteristics which you can look for. If anyone is sincerely discussing about Krishna, he is chanting his rounds properly. Someone is
Mhm.
regularly attending class, engaged in seva, and the way he speaks, he's always discussing Krishna Katha. He's following what Prabhupada said.
Mhm.
He's not speaking a philosophy against what Prabhupada said. He's repeating Prabhupada's words. These are all characteristics of one whom you can associate with.
Okay, bro.
Okay.
Yeah,
Others
thank you so
also,
much.
anyone who comes to temple is special. We just offer them obeisances from distance.
Yeah,
And
that's okay.
these are not my words. This Srila Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur says in the purport in Bhagavatam. If someone is a Vaishnava but are not of good character, you can keep distance, he says. But don't disrespect. But keep distance. You don't have to associate.
Yeah,
But you seek association of senior devotees and advanced
yes,
Vaishnavas. Okay? Okay. Any
yeah.
other reflection or question? Yes.
I have a question. How do you distinguish between spiritual experiences and mental health? Like, from a personal example, I have a family member who had like voice hallucinations, like Krishna was speaking, and then we had to like admit him into the mental health institution. And when I went to see him at the hospital, the first thing the nurse asked me was like, are you going through the same thing too? And from then on, if I have something miraculous happening or my life is upside down in a positive way, I feel like Krishna is interfering. But then again, I'm like, am I crazy? Is a nurse true? Do I have the same mental health problem? So how do you distinguish between like spiritual experiences and making sure that you're not suffering from a mental health issue and you're not?
Good question. Um, to see, or you can say that when we see Krishna's hand in our life, or we experience anything in spirituality, it has to be aligned with scriptures, with Guru Sadhu Shastra. If anyone is saying, Krishna came in my dream and he said, continue with the drugs, it's all right. So that's bogus. If someone says Krishna, like Hayagriva Prabhu, he told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you came in my dream yesterday, and I was sitting on the chariot like Arjuna, and you were speaking the Bhagavad Gita to me. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is perfectly fine because I'm just repeating what Krishna said. So it was a dream, but it's acceptable. It's okay. Whether really it happened, we don't know. I mean, mostly not. But it's okay. You don't have to counter it. But anything which is against the conclusion of Guru Sadhu Shastra, that is complete bogus. So generally, we can see, for example, we can see that in my life, okay, I'll tell you my personal experience. So once I was undergoing some problem which was also having an effect on my mind. So I was really worried. So I was just thinking, I was completely overcome by anxiety, so I didn't know what to do. So that time my brother had just called, and I just picked up, and he said, I just heard a great lecture of this Swami, and why don't you hear? I said, okay, I have nothing else to do. I heard. And in that lecture, that Swami, who's a spiritual master, he addressed the same what anxiety I was going through. He addressed the same situation, and he gave us such a powerful answer. So now I felt this is Krishna working in my life. Now, is this imagination or is it true? What do you say? How many of you say imagination? How many of you say it is true? Krishna is working. You're neutral. Yeah. This is actually Krishna is working, isn't it? Otherwise, in the materialistic world, they call it as coincidence. What is coincidence? When we study the Shastra, you will understand there's nothing by chance. Coincidence means by chance. You also came, and your friend also came to a hotel, and you say, oh wow, by coincidence we met. No, there's karma, isn't it? There's some karma because of which you also came and she also came and you met. So similarly, in spiritual aspect, from spiritual point of view, there's no by chance. Everything has a reason. By chance means it's a sophisticated way of saying I don't know, isn't it? If someone says by chance it happened, oh, basically you don't know how it happened. There's no by chance. So everything is being arranged by the Supreme Lord. And for that, what is the Sakshi? Sakshi is the scripture. That's our reference. Dhruva is rushing to the forest to practice meditation and attain Vishnu. Immediately Narada comes. And Narada says, you're a small boy, go and play with toys. He said, either you help me or get out of my way. Then Narada says, I was just testing you. So he says, now you want to attain Vishnu? This is the process. So is it by chance he met Narada or Narada, Krishna sent Narada? Krishna sent Narada. You have reference? Any time a devotee is in distress, Krishna makes arrangement. How? Either he comes or he sends his pure devotee. So this is all arrangement. So more we study Shastra, you see that these things have happened in the lives of devotees. So when it happens in your life and it's not contradicting Shastra, it's Krishna's hand. And that also requires faith. So that nurse is actually slashing down your faith. So don't mind her words. Actually, it is also Krishna never fails to protect his devotees. Krishna is saying in Gita, Kontaya pratijanihi name bhakta pranishyati. My dear Arjuna, you announce to the whole world that my devotee never perishes. So Krishna is constantly giving protection. And there are some incidents which has happened in the world today. For example, in Russia, once a small girl, she was very attached to a toy of Narsimadev. And she was always going with it. So one day she was taking the toy and she went onto the main road. That time a truck went by. This is a true story. I have to see the article and I can send it to you. True story. She went to the road with the Nasima toy, and a truck came in full speed, and the father thought she's gone, and the truck went, but she didn't see the dead body. He didn't see any body there. So he was looking for the daughter. She wasn't there at all. Then he went further ahead. His daughter was lying on a heap of hay, and when he picked up his daughter, he saw there were nail marks on the body. Okay? That's all was given. So his father said, this is Narsimadev protected. Now we can question, is it really Narsimadev? Or maybe there was something coming out from the truck that struck the girl. isn't it? But truck was coming in such a force. If it strikes, it would have struck her completely, isn't it? Now, why? How can you put faith that it is Narsimhadev who protected her? Can you put faith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why? How?
Because I feel like that was how you mentioned about how it was the nails. I mean, either or, worst case scenario, if the truck did hit her, like
She would have died for sure.
she would die exactly.
Yes.
But regardless, if something hit her slightly, I still feel like it would be Nassim had a message.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other reason why it is Narsimhadev? Why you believe that it's Narsimhadev? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's he said. Correct.
yeah.
Anything else? Could be animal. And works with devotees. So an animal came and struck her and went. Yeah, could be possible. Possibility is there. Anything is possible. Okay. She has the toy. So the toy protected. How do you believe there is Narsimhadev? How many of you believe is Narsimhadev, first of all? Like really? Okay. How many of you not sure? Okay,
I
one,
would
two.
say maybe she had hallucinations and heard
No,
voices.
whatever she would have had a hallucination, the father saw. She's a small girl. The father saw the all these things, nails and everything. Good. She was nicely placed in a heap of hay. She was on the main road, struck by a truck. So what do you expect? Okay, good. She was nicely placed in a heap of hay. Anything else? Yeah, she should have become flat, and the blood should have splattered all over the place. Yeah, no other injury other than the nails.
100% Nassim had his message probably.
Very good. See.
100%.
Okay. Anything else? Why would you believe there is Narsimhadev? Huh? So why do you believe it's God?
Because
Who else can do it? No one else.
Because she didn't die. She lived. She lived.
because she has faith and she has connection with Narsimhadev.
She has
Or
connection with
maybe
Narsimhadev.
maybe it might be a doll.
Because we see when Prahlad was thrown from the hill, Krishna protected. And when Hiranyakashipu attacked, Narsimhadev protected. So when small girl is also a devotee of Narsimhadev, why can't Narsimhadev not protect? He can protect. This is called a Shastriya Shraddha. Yes, Prabhu.
Did you know anything like about that story? If that mark is a scar on the girl's shoulder?
Yeah,
or
it was a
something?
it was a scar.
Is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
still a scar?
yeah.
Oh.
So I just have to find the article.
Uh-huh.
I can just find the article. This is actually actual incident in Russia. Yes,
Oh.
and this is not one incident. We have thousands of such incidents. Yeah, all the clues put together it shows that. Yeah, correct. Correct. Yeah, correct. Correct. Nice story. I mean, Narsimha, there's many pastimes are there. Narsimha Dev is very merciful. He keeps his pastimes and goes. Yeah. Anyway, so this is one way you understand. It's not a mental thing. So you can actually question if you would like to see more tangible proofs. You can see there are some other symptoms also. But you can, if anything is in line with Shastra, Narsimha protected devotees in Shastra happened thousands of millions of years ago. Why can't it happen today? You have to ask. If someone says after we give all the evidence, no, no, still I don't believe, that is blind doubt. Why you don't believe? Okay, you have to say a reason why you don't believe. If doubting has no reasoning, then that is blind doubting. That's another extreme. So we'll pause here because super timer. Prasadam is there. Okay. So thank you all of you for your patient hearing. So that concludes our fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So next time we will start fifth chapter. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna.
Shri Prabhupada ki.
Very true.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
I
Is
have a
there?
question, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. In South Africa.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have a question.
Who is
Hare
this?
Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Who is
Uh,
speaking?
Alay.
Yes, Alai.
I have a question. Uh, generally we chant with the mala, right? So, uh, can we wear that mala which we used to chant at that time?
You can wear the
It
mala,
would
but
be the different one. It should be the different one.
usually we wear kanti mala, which is a smaller one on the neck. So if you come to temple, I can give it to you. That's a different mala, and the chanting mala is different.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Does that affect wearing
No,
mala is does that affect in our having a transcendental or spiritual growth?
no. There's no effect as such. There's no effect. Prabhu, we stop the live
Okay.
stream.
Okay.
Immediately first thing when you get up, you have to stop the live stream.